What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from ActionMovieGuy.com, and this is Mother of the Bride. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to click that subscribe button before we dive into this. This film is directed by Mark Waters, and it stars Brooke Shields, Miranda Cosgrove, Benjamin Bratt, and then down the line, also Chad Michael Murray, Wilson Cruz, just various people that kind of pop up in the film. Rachel Harris is in this, but mainly this is a film about a young influencer played by Miranda Cosgrove who is proposed to by her boyfriend, and she hasn't even told her mom, played by Brooke Shields, that she's dating anybody. So she has to go pop that bad news. And then also the surprise, we're also getting married. But it's really cool because I've just become a successful influencer, and they've offered me this huge deal to become a brand ambassador for this luxury hotel chain. So of course we get to go have this swag wedding in Thailand. So it's a destination wedding, all expenses paid for, because she's an influencer who just scored herself a deal. Totally unrelatable characters in a fantastical location, and yeah, actors that you feel like would totally be in a Netflix movie that you've never heard of. The sad thing is that this is directed by Mark Waters, who actually has a resume. He kind of surprised everybody with his Sundance feature House of Yes, which also helped to sort of really put Parker Posey on the map. And he followed that up with two really strong, I would argue still today, classics, in terms of the fact that people still watch them and enjoy them. One of the reasons is why Chad Michael Murray is in this, which is the Freaky Friday remake, which he directed, and he also directed Mean Girls. So two of Lindsay Lohan's movies. He's also responsible for some other pretty big movies like Just Like Heaven, Ghosts of Girlfriend's Past, The Spiderwick Chronicles, Vampire Academy. Just a couple of, decent sized theatrical releases. This is his second film for Netflix following He's All That, which was better than this. If we're being honest, and that was a remake. So it's not that I have anything against Brooke Shields as an actress, but her comic chops are not necessarily what some of the other actresses that he's worked with in the past have been. He's had the pleasure of working with, Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis. He's worked with, Jennifer Garner, Reese Witherspoon. So people who just sort of are naturally in this genre. Like this is the thing that they do, and they do it well. And Brooke is, I don't know what she's been up to. I don't know where she's been. I don't know what she's been doing. But it did kind of feel like she was appearing mostly how people sort of appear in Hallmark movies around Christmas time. They're like, oh, we got a recognizable star to do a Hallmark movie. Yeah, she came here, she showed up. It's okay. It's an okay performance. I kind of wish there had been somebody just a little bit more, with a little bit more fire under them. Miranda Cosgrove is okay in this as well. Her character's kind of obnoxious just simply because of the nature of how the film is written. It's kind of poorly written, and Mark Waters this is easily the worst thing he's directed. And maybe that, and I didn't like the Vampire Academy movie that much. I actually thought the show on Peacock was a much better improvement. If you've read the books, I think anybody would agree with me. Benjamin Bratt is fine, but he's not really given much to do here. They are given a backstory of how mom and dad used to date. Benjamin Bratt is the father of the groom, and of course, the two of them used to date back in the day, Brooke and Benjamin, and it didn't end well. So she's not really happy to see him again, and he's been pining after her all these years, and secretly, and she didn't know about it. And Chad Michael Murray shows up as a younger love interest for Brooke Shields, who is really poorly developed and has no chemistry with Brooke Shields at all. But it kind of feels like Keanu Reeves' character in Something's Gotta Give if Nora Ephron suffered brain damage before writing before writing the script. I think she wrote that. Um, and yeah, just this is not a good script, guys. I don't know what to tell you. It moves through kind of fast. It doesn't have time to develop characters. It has these best friend slash brother slash characters. Rachel Harris plays, I don't know, Brooke Shields' best friend slash maybe Miranda Cosgrove's aunt. She's basically there to occasionally be sassy. And so is Wilson Cruz, who plays, I think, Benjamin Bratt's brother in this. And they all know each other from back in the day, too. And they just kind of occasionally cut to them and they're sassy. There's it's just kind of like everybody else in this film is obnoxious or underdeveloped or non-existent. Miranda Cosgrove invites other people to the wedding, like bridesmaids and stuff that she never interacts with, and none of them have characters or personality. They're just like, hey, those are my bridesmaids. And unlike other films where you would have a girl of Miranda Cosgrove's age where she would actually like go hang out with the people in her age group, she can't even be bothered to do that. Like she just, none of them, she doesn't have a best friend character in this film that is in her age range that she spends any time with. She has this annoying sort of another person who's a little bit like her, that's also like a planner slash influencer, that's planning the whole wedding for her through this company that she now sort of works for and has this endorsement deal. And the boyfriend is just kind of like a throwaway character. He doesn't really challenge Miranda Cosgrove at all, which is why I haven't even bothered mentioning him. I don't know who the actor is, and I actually don't care who the actor is because nobody will remember him. He's the most forgettable face. He has nothing to him. He's not given anything funny to do. He's given very little interaction with his father. He's basically just kind of there. He's just kind of there because he needed a groom, you know? He's not necessarily charming, and he doesn't really sweep Miranda Cosgrove off her feet. This film doesn't really do anything to commit you to any of these relationships or these characters. They're just a bunch of people who just are like in Thailand at a wedding, and it's pretty. Go. Enjoy. It's not the most fun. If I had to say maybe like who comes out at best on top here, I guess it would be either like Benjamin Bratt or maybe like Rachel Harris, because Rachel Harris is kind of doing what she always does. Like in every sitcom where she pops up, this is basically like Rachel Harris. It almost feels like she's improving her lines. Like she's like, I know that you wrote that, but I'm just going to say it the way I would normally say it. How people, when they see me in things, they expect me to say this line this way. And people are just like, all right, do your thing. Good, cool, thank you. And Benjamin is just sort of underwritten, and all he really has to do is be hot. You know, he just has to be hot and relatable, and you have to kind of feel bad for him and all those things. So it's just this is a nothing film. It's not offensively bad. It's mildly entertaining. The best part about it is that it moves really quickly. That's also the worst thing about it, because it also means there's no development, but I think this was under an hour and a half. So you're just flying through this movie. Like at the film opens with the engagement. You don't even get to see like the two of these people like interact at all. There's no build. It's a faster proposal than even like the opening of Sweet Home Alabama, which basically starts with the proposal. At least that film had some sort of like introduction to the characters, so you had some idea of who these people were 5 seconds before. There was a little bit of charm, a little bit of a wink and a nod. Patrick Dempsey's character in that film is way more developed than this dude is. So just so many things. I don't know what possessed Mark Waters to direct this, except for maybe a paycheck or either after he directed He's All That, maybe he was fulfilling some sort of contractual obligation that he had to direct another film for Netflix. Maybe he signed like a picture deal with them and he had to do the film. Didn't really have a choice. I can't imagine anybody would choose to direct this film, especially somebody of Mark Waters' level, who has the films that he has on his resume. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why he's here. I don't understand why he put this out at this level. Like, was he forced to work with these people? Were these people pre-cast and he was brought on as a director? Did he choose this cast? None of this stuff makes any sense to me because his films are better than this. Even like maybe his worst films, like Vampire Academy or maybe like Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, are still more entertaining than this. Like, they're still better cast than this. They still have actors who vibe better together than this. This just has a bunch of people who just kind of are in a movie together. And they don't really know why they're in a movie together, except they get to go to a pretty place and look at pretty things and get paid. And welcome to the movie. It's really all I gotta say. The audio description to this is very uninspiring. There are plenty of times where I was like, I don't really know what's going on. Wish the audio description would explain things. Probably like the best right off the top is after we get introduced to our young couple, after they propose, we cut to a shot of Brooke Shields talking to someone, I guess, on the phone. We're not given any context to who is she talking to? Where is she? Is there anyone else in the room? Is she on the phone? Is she on, does she have one of those like things in her ear? Is it a FaceTime? Is it like nothing? She's just like talking to someone. And there is sort of like a beat. There's like a beat before we go into it that they could have given us an intro to. We cut to so-and-so who is on the phone, or who's sitting alone in her office on her phone. And there just wasn't that. This film didn't take advantage of all of the breaks. And sometimes when they did have something to offer, it wasn't really the thing that was most helpful to offer, but it was something. So I'm not going to say this film doesn't have audio description, because it does. And it's better to have at least some things being thrown at you, but it does feel like that this film doesn't really have the best audio description that could have been possible. It sort of has like what I would call a first draft. Like if I was running an audio description company and somebody came to me with this script or this, and I listened to it the first time, I'd be like, okay, this is a good start, but let's go back and let's do this and let's tackle this again. I feel like if I really wanted to, I don't think it's Mother of the Bride. I can't imagine anybody cares, but this would be the kind of film that I'd love to sit down and actually break down and be like, how could we have done this better? Because it's sort of just kind of it's a wasteful film to have that conversation about. I'd much rather have it about a film that people are going to be talking about even a year from now. Like 6 months from now, people aren't going to be talking about this film. Like Brooke Shields is going to remember she did this film. In 10 years, she'll be on like some awards show and they'll be like, oh, didn't you do a movie with Miranda Cosgrove? She'll be like, no. Oh yeah, I did. Wait a minute. Like, this movie is designed to be forgotten. It felt like something that Netflix had and were sitting on, and they were like, guys, we don't have anything to release on Mother's Day weekend. What are we dropping? And I'm like, well, this film is kind of about mothers. I guess we'll release it on Mother's Day weekend then. It's not a very strong product, but it's like a 39 Metacritic score. That's pretty low. It kind of feels appropriate. Could have even been lower and it wouldn't have surprised me. But in general, it's fluffy entertainment that's not that terrible. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it still is. There are films where I actually really do despise watching them. And then there are films like this that are just like these weird sort of like fluffy Hallmark movies that just feel like they came off of like an AI wrote the treatment. I'm not gonna say like AI wrote the script. It doesn't feel like AI. This is definitely Somebody wrote this who just isn't very good at writing, and needs to study more scripts and character development and stuff like that. But it feels like the treatment could have easily been AI generated, like Mad Libs, you know, basically. It feels like any other just generic film. The characters are very generic. Nothing here really happens. Everything is very predictable. The ending is a mile away. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing here makes any sense. Nobody has any chemistry. Everybody just sort of feels like they were thrown together and cast separately and just put in a film and just been like, this works. I thought it was funny because I did watch this with my mom for Mother's Day, and one of the things she noted was the fact that Brooke Shields and Miranda Cosgrove look nothing alike. And I was like, yeah, I thought that was really weird too, because even as a blind person, I've seen both Brooke Shields and Miranda Cosgrove, and there's nothing about that casting that would have made me go, you know what? I think they should play mother and daughter. I mean, like two people who have really no resemblance to each other at all, somehow are magically playing mother and daughter. And like, that's the kind of casting where it's just like, you're casting people based on names. You're not really casting people based on any sort of thought process. So the audio description here definitely could have been stronger. The funny thing is, there's no credit to it at the end. It's not bad. It's definitely human, and it's not great. But it's funny. I can't even have this conversation with anybody because I don't know who to have the conversation with. There's no company associated with this. There's no narrator. There's no writer. I listened all the way to the end of the film. No one is associated with this film. It's so bizarre because usually that indicates to me, 9 times out of 10 nowadays, it means AI. Amazon does that a lot of times with their TTS audio description scripts. And I encountered that most recently, Max with the Beyonce Call Me Carter has no narrator at the end of that. Netflix doesn't use a lot of AI and a lot of TTS, so it's really hard to narrow that down. But when they do, like in Wages of Fear, they also skip the AI process. I didn't think, if this is AI, I'm on board because it just does not sound like AI. Whatever voice this is felt fine. I don't have a problem with this narrator at all. Her voice was okay. Not my favorite narrator, but I didn't think the narrator's voice took away from the film. It's a nice female tone on a fluffy bullshit romantic comedy. Like, I don't know what else to... It was okay. So if it turns out this is AI, this is way better than anything that I've ever heard before. So kudos. But I mean, there are humans that I've heard that sound more AI I've been told specifically, like, oh no, that person is definitely. I'm like, no, they're not. That's not a human. No, they're a human. Like I've had that conversation before with people like who know who that person is. So, and I'm like, that sounds so much like a robotic. Like, why are they sounding like that? Like, why do they drone on? Like they're trying to sound like TTS. This girl does not sound like TTS to me. So yeah, it's so weird that it's not credited. So whoever wrote the script, whatever production company made this, may God have mercy on your soul. I don't know. I don't know what else to say here. It's not bad, but if you don't want to be credited for things, it means you get no feedback. And I have fun. You do you. I mean, nobody can ever point to you. Like the blind community, we hear certain companies and narrators at the end of these credits, and we build sort of like a relationship and a dialogue. And I hear names, and I'm like, oh well, that's why, I can tell why it was good. Oh, that's why it's balanced. And sometimes it strikes me as weird when I hear something. I'm like, that doesn't sound right, because that company usually doesn't do that. So then I think it's weird because maybe it was a porting problem with the audio description into the service, and sometimes it turns out to be right. So there's like a whole thing. But with you, I have no idea. I have no idea who did this. I have no idea who wrote it, who narrated it, what company produced it, nothing. So you've developed no reputation with this film at all. It's like nobody wants to be associated with this. So it's just it's a whatever film. It's a whatever film. If you feel like watching it, fine. If you feel like not watching it, fine. Your life will not be changed either way. If you find somebody who thinks this is the best film of the year, they've only seen this film this year. It's the only film they've seen. It's impossible for this to be the best film of the year. Yeah, I'm gonna give Mother of the Bride a C, because it really is. It just feels like it's just right down the middle of the road. Just like it's trying to be extremely average. It just casts actors that we know and puts them in roles, and the actors all showed up. I'm not gonna say that. I mean, Brooke is the only one, and she just kind of feels rusty. She just kind of feels like she's just getting back into it. She's like, I don't know what I've been doing, but somebody often called me up and said they wanted me in a movie. I'm here, you know, like. But yeah, everybody else just kind of predictably does whatever they need to do. Um, and it's just that their roles are poorly written, so there's not really much for them to do. I mean, Chad Michael Murray's fine. His character is so badly written with like nothing. I can't fault him for that. There's only just so much you can do. You can't, create a mountain out of, you know, and dust. I don't know, maybe you can. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.